My name is Jiří Přibáň, and I'm director of the Center of Law and Society here at Cardiff University. And I am very grateful to the organizers and coordinators of the Riti Comparati blog that I can present my latest book. The book is called Constitutional Imaginaries, a Theory of European Societal Constitutionalism. And it was recently published by Routledge. I should say that this book is a final part of loose trilogy on theory of constitutional semantics, which started in 2007 when I published monograph Legal Symbolism, and in that monograph I was asking myself a question: why is it that during legal and constitutional transformations such as those in post-communist Central and Eastern Europe, where I come from Prague, how come that so many laws and judgments do not have just instrumental or operative force, but that they are very strong in terms of political and social symbolism. In my sequel to that book, Sovereignty in Post-Sovereign Society, I was asking a different question, not necessarily about symbolic rationality of constitutions and laws, but I was asking a question: why is it that in society that is post-sovereign in so many respects, the concept of sovereignty still makes one of central points of reference of political leaders, constitution makers, but also constitutional judges and other actors within the system of positive law or politics. And in this final book on constitutional semantics, I made another move and started asking, what is it that makes actually legislation, constitutional documents, constitutional judgments meaningful in society? And my answer to this is it's constitutional imaginaries. And in the beginning, in the opening chapter, I make a distinction between imagination and imaginaries. And imagination is something which usually carries normative ambitions and prescriptive recommendations from a theorist to practical world of law and politics. And I take a step aside from these normative ambitions and political ambitions of constitutional theory because I think this is not a job, at least for a social theory of constitutionalism. And instead I explore what is it that makes constitutions these carriers of shared meaning, of legitimate expectations in society. And obviously the answer to this is that there is a societal force which makes our life meaningful. And this is exactly the force of imaginaries, constituted by society. So the center argument of the book is that it's not the political constitution that constitutes society, but it's society that constitutes its political documents and that constitutes its political and legal framework. So it's constitutions not of society, but in society. After this first argument, I move further, and the second part of the book deals with a typical imaginary of the political constitution as the unity of topos, nomos, ethnos. territory, then the sovereignty of laws, and sovereignty of laws over a particular people. So this unity, which is ancient, dating back to Pericles and the city-states in Greece, the unity of territory, people, and people living under the rule of law. It of course translates to the modern statehood, and in these chapters, in second half, I argue that yes, it is an important imaginary, but it's not the only, the exclusive imaginary that makes constitutions legitimate. And in the third part of the book, I move on to the European imaginaries, and they are certainly beyond topos, nomos, ethnos, beyond territory, the laws, and people as a nation. And I analyze four specific imaginaries. The first one is the imaginary of legal pluralism. The second one is the imaginary of administrative calculemus, the idea that instrumental reason will rule over any ideologies, and then the imaginary of prosperous imperium, which is the imaginary of economic constitutionalism and single market. And finally, I also move to the imaginary of democratically mobilized communitas, because after all, European integration cannot, if it is a multi-level polity, it still has to have the capacity of democratic mobilization. Otherwise, it will always suffer from profound democratic deficit. So I am analyzing these imaginaries as examples and evidence of how we can move into transnational imaginaries of law, how Europe can stimulate and secure its legitimacy, even if it's far from the ambition of one European people to live under the rule of laws on the territory of the European Union. This dream, I think, has been already abandoned, but it doesn't mean that European integration would have no legitimacy and no imaginaries to draw on. So this is a very short introduction of the book, which I hope will be of interest not just for theorists of European constitutionalism, but also for sociologists and political theorists of constitutionalism in general. And I'm really grateful to many people who helped me with this book, and who were critical friends. And I also am very grateful to the publisher who published both of my previous monographs, which I mentioned at the beginning of this short introduction. Thank you very much, and please, should you be interested in any aspects of this research, you can always email me and get in touch. All the best from Wales.